Nice and wedged up, just gonna smack it down onto the wheel and get that nice and secure on there. Ready to get started. So I'm gonna get my hands wet and I'm gonna get the clay wet. And I'm just gonna give it a little bit of a push, get it to start going. Move any dry clay out of the way. And then when I center it, I'm gonna put one hand on the side and another hand on the top. Push it down from both directions, an equal amount of pressure on the side and on the top. As it starts to dry out, I'm going to put a little bit more water on it. Alright, so that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to open it, and then I'm going to support my hand, and I'm going to put my finger just to the right of that little bump that I made right there in the center, and that'll start opening it up. As this clay is coming off, you can just kind of scrape it into the bowl. Keep pushing down. You don't want to leave too much clay in the bottom, but you also don't want to push too far so that your finger touches the wheel, because then you'll have a big hole in the center of your whatever piece you're throwing. I'm going to compress the top just so this is all completely flat before I start opening it up. When you're making a bowl, you put your hand in there, and then as you're pulling out, you're slowly moving your hand up so that way it gets that nice curve that the bottom of the bowl will have. So I'm going to make sure it's wet enough. I'm going to support it on one side, and then with my two fingers, I'm going to start opening it up, gradually moving my hands up so that it has a rounded bottom. Once it's open as far as I want it to be, I'm going to compress the top again, make sure that that's flat. And now I'm going to pull it so that it's a little bit taller. So like we did last time, you just put one hand on the inside and one hand on the outside, and just very, very slowly, taking your time, press the clay as it goes up, and that'll make it taller. Moving your hands along the side evenly, and decreasing the pressure as you're going up so that the lip of your bowl doesn't get too thin too quickly. I'm going to do that a couple more times. So now it kind of looks like I have a cylinder, and so this is where the bowl shape is going to come out. You can do this with your hands, or you can check out one of these little metal ribs that Miss Bruce has. So making sure that the sides are wet, you just kind of push your hands in, and you're just going to open that up. So just give it a push so that the opening is just a little bit wider. Making sure you're supporting on the outside while you're pushing from the inside. Top and making sure all the clay down in the bottom is compressed. If you wanted to do it with a rib tool, you make sure your hand is a little bit dry so it doesn't slip out. Your hands, support on the outside and bend it just a little bit, and just start pushing on the inside in there, and that'll give you a nice clean surface on the inside of your bowl. I'm going to do the same thing on the outside, and what this does is it's not only giving it shape, but it's also scraping off all of that super wet slip that's in there, and that'll make your piece dry nicer. It'll give it a smoother surface, and it'll be easier to take off the wheel. And compress that top so it's nice and smooth. I'm actually going to take my wooden tool and smooth it along the top so I make sure that that's nice and flat. Stop my wheel, take a look at it, and I have a little bowl. And I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to wrap it around my fingers a couple times just to give it a good grip, and I'm going to run it underneath that clay.